ask you.
Thank you very much. So, good morning, and thank you for inviting me to Dublin. It's my big pleasure, and I will immediately start with my presentation. And since I know that not everybody is a lawyer, so I will try to start from the basics, and then, of course, my colleagues will continue. First question would be, what does it mean, the European Competition Network? So first of all, the European Competition Network is a network of national competition authorities, like French, Irish, Czech, etc., plus the European Commission. And the European Competition Network was established in the framework of a so-called modernization or new antitrust modernization regime established by Regulation 1, 2003, which entered into the force on the 1st of May 2004. So it's, let's say, the product of this modernization regime. First of all, let me explain that the European Competition Network is not a legal entity, and it's not an international organization. So we have to distinguish, because you may heard about, for example, International Competition Network, which is a different entity, and also, of course, there are other institutions like OECD dealing with competition issues. So if the European Competition Network is not a legal entity and is not international institution, what is it? So I think that the best way to describe it is a framework for applying of former Article 81 and 82. I'm still using the old numbering, but we all know that since the Lisbon is now in force, there are Articles 101 and 102, but let me still use the old Article 81 and 82 because we all have it in our minds. So that's another important information. When we are speaking about the European Competition Network, we are speaking about antitrust enforcement. For the time being, the European Competition Network does not cover mergers and, of course, state aid. It has a different system, but I think that my colleagues may mention that in the future we can discuss that this network could be used as an umbrella for further development, but for the time being, it's purely a framework for enforcement of Article 81 and 82. And why it's connected with the so-called modernization? The reason is simple. Since May 2004, the national competition authorities and national courts got a full power to apply Articles 81 and 82 during their investigations. So in practice, it is that, let's say, case handler in a national competition authorities can make a decision that for a case which he or she is investigating, he can apply only national law, national competition law, and it means that in this case it has nothing to do with the European Competition Network, and the case is investigated and decided solely under the national competition legislation. If there is a so-called effect on trade, which is very important decision of any case handler, it means that that particular, for example, cartel case has an effect on trade between member states. He is obliged to use not only its so-called double legal base, obliged to use not only the national competition law but also former Article 81, which is for cartels, or 82, abuse of dominant position. So in this case, national competition authority applies both national law and the European competition law. And then, of course, there are some special rules, and I will go very quickly through these rules, what the National Competition Authority is obliged to do. So first of all, under the Article 11.3 of the Regulation 1, National Competition Authority reports to the Commission that a case was open under the European competition laws, and then when they reach a stage of the decision, they send so-called envisaged decision. This is a decision which which has not been yet adopted, but it's in pipeline to the Commission for, let's say, for further discussion. So these are two obligations of National Competition Authority when they apply former Article 81 or Article 82. So that's the explanation about ECN basics, including the information where you can find more information about our ECN network. It's very easily found on our web pages. So the next, as to the, I said that even we don't have a legal basis, we have quite a interesting structure, but again very informal. For your information, we have one quasi-secretariat of the ECN, which is based in Brussels. It is one lady from our unit who is dealing with all communication, Petra Krenz, well-known lady within the ECN network. But on the other hand, we have many tools how to communicate, because as I said, first of all, the ECN is a network as a framework for enforcement of competition rules, but it's also a forum, which is the second important role of the as an informal forum for exchange of information. And here you can see the structure. So on the top of it are so-called DGs meetings, the meeting of Director Generals. So, for example, Mr. Lasserre and other presidents of national competition authorities, plus our Director General and sometimes our Commissioner, they meet twice a year and they discuss really the, let's say, the most important topics, further development, focus, priorities, etc. Then we have ECN plenary, which is several times a year meeting of, let's say, colleagues from national competition authorities responsible for ECN. So the meetings are sometimes in Brussels, but we had also one meeting already in the Czech Republic, so it's not obligation to hold all meetings in Brussels. And then we have several working groups. I would mention especially, for example, cooperation issues and due process working group dealing with procedural aspects of enforcement, and of course other important working groups, especially for the time being. You may know that we are now discussing new block exemptions as to the vertical restraints. So working group on vertical restraints is very active, and also working group on horizontal agreements is very active. And then we have also so-called ECN sectoral subgroups, and you can see there is a long list of subgroups. It's where case handlers from different member states meet regularly. For example, case handler dealing with energy meet 2 or 3 times per year with other colleagues from other national competition authorities, and they discuss common issues as to the energy, because of course there are many similarities as to the abuse of dominant position either in France, Germany, on the European level, especially big energy companies. So all these questions, procedural questions, regulatory questions, are discussed within these sectoral subgroups. What is not the part of ECN is so-called advisory committees, but it is very important procedural committee where very important cases are discussed. So, for example, when the Commission, the European Commission decides to adopt a case like Microsoft or any other case, the advisory committee is asked to give an opinion. And advisory committee consists also from representatives of the member states, but it's slightly different structure than the European Competition Network. But it's important to see the distinction. Then that's already, I went very quickly through this. So some statistics so far. So it means as from the May 2004 until today. There was more than 1,000 cases under the Article 11.3. So more than 1,000 cases was reported to the Commission as a potential cases opened under the Article 81 or 82. and more than 375 envisaged decisions was submitted to the Commission. So why such a difference? Of course, the National Competition Authority can decide to open a case, but sometimes, and it's quite often, that the case in a moment is stopped simply. It doesn't go until the stage when the decision is ready. So that's a difference, but even so, from the statistic, we have every year at least 70 cases from national competition authorities which we are dealing with. So I think that these numbers are quite impressive. Then, of course, this is what I have already discussed. This is how it works as to the envisaged decision. So once a national competition authority has a decision ready, then they transmit this decision through a special encrypted mail, because of course the decision, this envisaged decision at this stage, is very confidential. So the transmission is really fully confidentially and fully secured. And then our unit is together with sectoral units. We are doing some examination of this envisaged decision. We have 30 working days to make our comments. Usually it's very informal communication with case handler from a national competition authority. We are discussing if the legal base is correct, if the decision as to the procedural aspects are correct, etc. But usually it's very friendly discussion. It's not that we would control the national competition authority. SIT is a forum for discussing, and we learn, the Commission learns from national competition authorities, and sometimes I hope that we are also helpful for case handlers from national competition authorities to give them our opinion, etc. But it's, I would say, the communication is always very friendly, and we are all colleagues from one network, so it's not like the Commission would be primus inter pares. We are simply a member of the network, and we are trying to help each other. Then that's again the statistics. As I mentioned, more than 1,000 cases under the Article 11.3, and more than 300 envisaged decisions under the Article 11.4. Another important aspect of this communication is convergence, because of course what we want to achieve is that national procedural rules and European procedural competition rules are more and more convergent, simply because this is one of the main results of this cooperation. Because of course, especially if I give you one example, it's leniency programs. You may know that leniency programs are for these applicants who wants to let's say to inform a national competition authority that they were part of the cartel, for example, and they want to get immunity from fines, etc. And of course, since we have 27 national competition authorities plus the Commission, sometimes these applicants do not know how to apply, if they should apply only to the Commission or to all national competition authorities. And this is exactly one of the results of our cooperation, that we are trying to find a way how to cooperate better with leniency applicants. And for this we have created, and this is one of two products which I would like to mention, is so-called ECN Model leniency program, which is now applied almost in all member states, with one exception, which is Malta. For the rest of countries, they have more or less the similar leniency program which is very useful for for the convergence processes in Europe. The second product which I would like to mention is the new communication tool which we have recently developed and which was published only last week. It's so-called ECN Brief, where all of you can find this ECN Brief on our web page, which is mentioned here. And this is, let's say, the very first cooperation document which gives also information to the public what we are doing. Because until now, I think that ECN was not well known especially to judges and to legal law firms, etc. So that's the reason why we have developed this ECN Brief, which will be published every 2 months. It will be available on our web page, but also you can subscribe it. And we want to collect all interesting information, not only from the Commission, but also from national competition authorities, in order to inform public what we are doing and what are the results of our cooperation. So that's I think for all of you who are interested what we are doing, that's exactly the page you should look at after my presentation this afternoon. So I will stop here and I will give the floor to my colleagues.